Hey, my medical coding family, how's everybody doing today? Happy Monday. Since no one's on our YouTube one, let me set up our TikTok and see if we can't get some more on. TikTok, come on. Let's see. All right. All right, we got 8 on YouTube now, and I'm setting up TikTok. How's everybody doing? Happy Monday. Bring up today's live questions. I think we were doing urology and stuff, so let's bring in some of those questions back from Friday. Hey, Kitty. How's it going? I'm streaming on both TikTok and the Tube of the U. Wrong one. We're going to bring up the other one. Wrong one. That one. Yeah. All right. Let me get this first question showing for you guys on TikTok. There we go. So I think we did this one on Friday, but just in case you guys needed to, because my stream cut out, in case you missed this question, I thought we'd do it again. So we've got 3 of them in the 5159 area. So I'd kind of go there and see what's going on with the differences between those codes. Ooh, those TikToks about the Paris bed bugs have me itching for no reason. I'm here in Arizona. Oh my gosh. But I was just watching TikTok before this live, and that poor girl in Paris came up right before this live, and now I'm itching all over. Have a sympathetic itching for her. Oh, geez, Pete. All right. What did we do today? That's what I get for looking at TikTok before a live lesson, man. Oof. Anybody else sympathetic itcher like that for other people? So if we look at our differences between our codes, all of them are the same kind of procedure. Just some of our tiny little differences. Our 80 includes the sigmoid, right? 85 includes the adrenal. 90 is ileal. And 95 includes lymph nodes. And then 96 includes a segment of our intestines where they make a bladder out of it. There was a person on TikTok who recently had this new bladder created after they had their bladder removed, and that's what this procedure does. So let's look into our question and see if they did make a new bladder. You have an exam in 10 days. Oh, I hope this helps out a whole bunch. What do you think the answer is for this question, Miss Lauren? Yeah, the cases are one of the easiest questions on the certification exam, so don't stress out too much about those. Your differences in your cases will be the route into the body. Did I use a scope? Did I use a open technique, or did I do the procedure under the skin? And then which part of the body did you repair? Did you do extra or intra, lateral or medial? Those will be your differences in your cases. It is a 9-6, I believe. It is C, yes. Our answer is C. It is the little bladder that we made, the neo. Yep, that is our answer. All right, what about this one? We've got all kinds of different areas. We've got one code that starts out with a 506, one available answer that starts out with a 509, and then two that start out with the 523. I point those out because a lot of times the differences between the first three digits in a CPT code mean that you have a different body part being worked on or a different surgery type. Be sure if you are doing your exam in 10 days like Miss Lauren that you know your differences between an incision and an excision. Both of them mean you're cutting into the body, right? But one of them means you're doing a removal of some sort. So knowing stuff like that is super helpful on the exam. So if we look at our 506 available answer 10, what header for the surgery and body part are we under for answer C? What is our body part header and our surgery type header? Hey guys on YouTube. How's everybody doing? Happy Monday, JP. Indeed you can, Janelle. Hey, Rotunda. Thanks, Go-Kart. What is our header? So, if you happen to be at the code 50610, which is over here on the previous page, to look for its body part, you got to look back for a red header, and this one's surgery is an incision and a biopsy. If we go look at our code 50945, you can see that its code is right here, but its surgery is a scope. So instead of looking at the differences between the CPT code descriptors, most of your answers for the CPC exam can be decided just off the blue headers or the red headers of the CPT codes. So for answer C and B, the differences are whether we did an incision or we did a scope. You can see from the question that we do have a scope listed, so you know the answer cannot be C in this question because we did not do a incision, we did a scope. Let's go look at our headers for the 523s. 523 10, its body part and surgery is under urethra and bladder, and it is a trans urethra surgery. We went through the urethra and did the surgery. And then the 92352, where is it? 52 is under the header of body part, ureter, and pelvis. Both of those are getting repaired on. And then the other one was urethra and bladder. What did we do today? What did we repair? We just did a urethra stone via a scope. And the only answers that are only under the correct body part which was only the ureter. We didn't do an incision, but all we did was do a scope, right? Which is that surgery. That lets you know what the answer is. Yep. So this one, I didn't go to each CPT code and read the CPT code descriptors. All I did was go look at the red and blue headers before the codes. And that told me what the answer was, which is B. That's how you pass the certification exam. If you're a newbie and you're going straight to the codes and only looking at the codes to see which answer is correct, then that's how you get the wrong answers. So being able to clear your red and blue headers is a technique I want you guys to practice on your certification exam practice questions. All right. I'm not going to do this one for you guys. You guys can do it from here. Now that I've showed you how to look up the red and blue headers, we have one under 506, one under 522, one under 523, and one under 538. What are your headers and body parts? And then look through your question to see what body part and surgery type you did. (50605) is under incision and biopsy and ureter. (522) is under what body part? (52282) is under urethra and bladder, and it's a transurethral surgery. (52332) is a ureter and pelvis, and 53855 is an other procedure under urethra. Thank you for the 2 shares and all the taps on the live. Appreciate that, guys. Indeed. B is our correct answer for this one. Good job. Perfect. What about our next one? Look at your headers. They look like we're only got 2 different codes. So where is 541, 50, and 60? Where are those located? Five, 4, 1, 50 and 60 yeah. These newborn circumcisions will definitely be on the exam. Our differences are usually in our parentheticals. Be sure you notice those. Thank you for the shares and taps. Pushing out the content to other people. Where is my YouTube? I've got 16 people on and 9 likes on YouTube. Good to see you guys. And we got 1 new YouTube member. That is Cookie. Oh gosh, you got access to all my old workshops, the podcast, and the book prep videos. I think I've done like 7 book prep videos just in the last 2 weeks in the cardiovascular system, so you've got access to all of those this week. That's awesome. Hey Kanisha, Samantha, Royal, good to see you guys. What do you guys think is the answer for this one? Sin says it's B. If we do it without a dorsal block, what does our parenthetical say to do? Don't forget to look for that parenthetical that's underneath there. Report 54150 with modifier 52 when performed without a dorsal block or a ring. There you go. Knowing where that parenthetical is super helpful. Yep. C is correct. Good job. All under the same, maybe header or surgery. Let's see, 542. Where are these? And then we've got 54220 is an introduction. 54220 is an irrigation. Our 30 is an injection. 31 is a metry. And then 35 is an injection. What did we do today? We'll go look up in our exam question and see what we did. We did this. So that tells us our answer is yep, Indeed. Good job. That's it. All there is to it. Good job. All right. Five, 4, 4. We have a fracture. 5, 4, 4, 20. That is a shunt. So is 30. $35 is a needle, and 30 is a needle, 20 is a needle, and 40 is an operation. That is just the insurance company. They keep calling, it's open enrollment season or something. I'm like, it's August. Isn't that usually October? What do you guys think is the answer for this one? SD. Good job. Good job. If you look at B, $20 is a shunt. 30 is a shunt. 35 is a needle biopsy. And then 40 is an operation. What did they do? They repaired. Which one is the most closest to a repair? Does a shunt repair anything? Does a biopsy repair anything? Shunts are just like a patch or a diversion, but it's not a fix, right? Think of it that way. Yep, A is your answer. It is A. This one will have a whole case on one page, and then we've got our available answers written out here. It's just the way it formatted the question. I couldn't get it to stop formatting this way. Gotta love Word. But we've got two that start off with the same answer. It's the same CPT code. And then one will start out with a 10 and the other one with a 56. So I would be more intrigued about the ones that start out with the same answer. They even have that on the cpcexam website, that, you know, there's usually a reason why they put it down like that. If they have the same answer down twice, be sure and pay attention to that. Let's go look at our headers there. Let's see, 5, 2, 3. 53 is a what? That's a child code. You can't do anything with it. I need to go look at its mama. Its mama code is 52351, which is 3 scopes all in one, and it's diagnostic. And it also includes our lithotripsy. 56 includes a stent and lithotripsy. And then our 310, 52, 310 is under a different surgery. That is just the cystourethoscope, where this cystourethoscope includes a ureteroscope and a polyscope. So let's see how many scopes we did today. So we did the cystoscope with the ureteroscope, so we already know that we will not be and could not be C. We know we have to be either 53 or 56. Again, our differences were lithotripsy is included in both of them, but one of them includes a stent. So we'll look for the word stent. Or what's inside the brackets in the CPT descriptor, where they've got the J-type Gibson listed, which is helpful, but that is just the name of the stent. And since this one did include the lithotripsy and the stent, we know our answer is what? Just based off the first code. I'm not even going to bother looking up anything after, because I don't need to. What do you guys think is the answer? Indeed, it is A. That's all. Easy peasy, right? Here's another circumcision. What do you guys think is the answer? Try not to help with this one and see if you guys can get it all on your own. Oh no. So two of them have integumentary adjacent tissue transfers in them. One of them has a modifier that increases the payout on the CPT code descriptor because it has increased time. There was some sort of issue with the procedure that didn't go as planned, and we had to spend a lot more time with it and do things, or we did integumentary and urology procedure, two of them, and we have our multiple procedure modifier on the end. And they're related because they used the 51 modifier. If they had used the 59 modifier, that means it would have been unrelated procedures, you know, totally separate. But if they use the same type of instruments to do one as they do the other one, and they're related, and we didn't have to pick up different instruments, then we use our 51 modifier. We use 59 if we're going to put down one set of instruments, grab up another set of instruments, and work on something totally different and unrelated. Indeed it is D. You all did good. Perfect. Excellent. All right. What about this one? We have, let me see if I can make this a little bit smaller. That made it bigger. There we go. All right. We have some 58 modifiers, we have some 51 modifiers, and we have some 76 modifiers or no modifier. Sometimes I like looking at the modifiers. Sometimes that's easier. '58 modifier is that we did a staged procedure. 51 means we did additional procedures that are related. And 76 modifier means it's a repeat procedure done by the same physician. Did we do any of that? You like A? 58? And we're going to build 2 procedures. 58 is staged. Sin likes D, 2 procedures, and we're doing a repeat procedure by the same physician. This physician did a previous surgery on this patient. All right, 5, 2, 3, 56. So they are essentially seeing if you guys have looked at your guidelines before you start coding this section, and did you know that a therapeutic cystoscope with a ureteroscope with the poly is always included in a diagnostic cystourethroskop with a ureteroscope and or a polyscope? That all of those procedures are all included into one procedure, and that you don't bill anything additional. Have you read that one guideline? To report a diagnostic cystourethroskop with a ureteroscope and or a polyscope, only use the 51 code. So that's kind of cool to know ahead of time. And then it does give you an example here of when to use the 58 modifier, which is kind of handy dandy. Our 56 code right here and the 53, both of those codes include the cystourethroskop, a ureteroscope, and a polyscope, all included. All of that is included in each of them. The 53 includes lithotripsy, and then the 56 includes lithotripsy and a stent, including those 3 different types of scopes. So, now that we know that, if we did this scope with lithotripsy and a stent, how many codes are we billing for? Yep, only 1. So you know your answer has to be your C. Yep. Don't let them trick you. Be sure to learn that anything that is a mama code that is indented super close to the CPT code, and then she has these other codes that are indented underneath her where the code and the indentation is further away, and we group them together, you know that that is a group of codes grouped together. Many teachers tell you to group these together, box them, wrap them up, tie them in a bow together. But what that means is everything that mama is, the one that's indented closest to the code and starts off your group, right? Everything that is inside her up into that semicolon, which is every single word except for the word diagnostic, is also included in each one of these. So this CPT code reads, it's a cystourethroskop, ureteroscope, and a polyscope with a removal or manipulation of a stone. This code is a cystoscope, a ureteroscope, a polyscope with lithotripsy, where we use ultrasound and we beat the snot out of their backside and break up those stones, right? So they can pee them out. If we're doing 56, she includes everything that mama is, a cystoscope, a urethroskope, a polyscope, but also includes the lithotripsy with a stent to go in there and hold up some walls that are preventing the stones, once they're broken up into little pieces, to go through, because maybe the walls of the ureter or something has weakened and caved in on itself. So they've put up little tent poles to hold it open so that the stones can go through it. So that includes everything, a bunch of stuff in it. It's not just lithotripsy and a stent. It also includes those 3 different scopes in it. So understanding that is all they're doing in that question, is seeing if you understand the differences between those codes. And all of that is outlined in the front of your book, where the instructions on how to use the book are located. If you have not read the instructions for how to use the book, that's where it tells you what the differences are between mama and child code, and what it means, and what the semicolon means. That's what they tell you inside here. They tell you how to code, add-on codes, what are modifiers, how to apply them. They give you tons of examples of what it looks like, what are unlisted procedures, how to report test results, how to do special report, how to do time in CPT codes. So like if your CPT code is infusions, where it's an hour-long time limit, and you need to do like 3 hours, how do you know when you can times that code times 3, or if you had add-on codes, or how do you do time when time is a part of a CPT code? When do you know how many minutes have gone by to let you know that you can bill the second hour? One clear example is infusion, where it's 60 minutes per code, and if you're going to add the second code, what if it's only been 45 minutes? What if it's been 30 minutes? Do you know you can add the second code or not? Usually half the time plus 1 more minute needs to go by before you add the second hour. So if you did, or were wanting to bill for 2 CPT codes in infusion, 1 hour and 31 minutes needs to pass by, not 1 hour and 30 minutes. They explain all that here. They also explain all the symbols and all that kind of stuff. So if you have not read the instructions for how to use the book, that is really what they're testing you on the certification exam for sure. All right. These are super difficult today. How about this one? Thank you for the 8 shares, the 7,000 taps, and very close to it, 7,000 taps. How many on YouTube today? You guys on YouTube are so quiet today. We got 24 of you guys on and 19 likes. So glad you guys are helping each other out in chat. Hey Jen, I'll be returning for your courses. Please check your inbox. I don't know which inbox you might be talking about. If you're talking about TikTok, Instagram, Messenger, Discord, I've got thousands of messages that I'll never get to ever. If you're talking about email, I've got 2 email accounts and I've got like 7,000 messages, but I will get to those, the Gmails. Here on TikTok, no idea. Yeah, I won't see that message, hon. If you purchased your CPC course from me, on my website at medicalcodingbyjen.com, you can wait for my email. Of course, I'll email you as soon as I see it. And we communicate through Gmail. So medicalcodingbyjen@gmail.com. You'll get emails about our course and when courses are going to start and all that stuff through Gmail. But yeah, TikTok messages, I've got thousands, hon. Thousands. $558, and then we got one that's $559. $558. $558.60. Switch books. 558. We're under the surgery excision of the prostate. And then if we move over to 558, 75, and 76, we're under the surgery type other procedures. 559, 20 is under reproductive system procedures. You see all those different body parts or surgery differences, those headers? That will make a difference in these questions, is knowing where to look for your different surgeries. 75 and 76 are both under other procedures. '76 is placing a marker into the body so that you can tell the radiologist tech where to shoot the beams at for radiation. If you're doing 75, the location of the cancer is at a place that you can't shoot radiation to, so you need to deliver radiation directly to the location and let it seep out slowly through a device which they call seeds. And it will slowly release radiation there. So what did we do today? We placed radioactive seeds into the prostate. So that tells you. You've been in other sections or other courses before, and they've never talked about how to do the section. That's right. Actually, yeah, 100%. Yep. That's why I made my first TikTok, was just to let you guys know that there's a different way to learn this, and I just teach how I would need to be taught, right? I couldn't learn the way most things. I mean, I even did first grade twice, so I'm a different learner. I have to learn by show me the steps so I can physically do it, right? Step by step. Don't give me a broad overview of something and then I can figure it out. That's not going to happen. I gotta get my hands dirty and play in it to be able to do whatever it is. It doesn't matter what it is. I can't read something and understand it. I have to play around with it for sure. One very helpful thing for your CPC exam is before you do a chapter, right? We've got these pages in our CPT book, right, that tell us what our headers are, right? And you can tell that the body parts change, right? And then they've got the code numbers here, so you can always, usually sometimes use this page in deciding which available answers are going to be correct for your exam question. Like if I have 2 answers that are here in these code numbers, and then I have 2 answers that are here in this section, just by the code numbers, I have 2 that are 541 and then 2 of them that are 551. I can tell they're in different body parts, right? So I'll just check my exam question. What did I work on today? Did I work on this body part or this body part? And that makes a big difference. I could eliminate this body part if that's not what I worked on, and we just had the fracture or whatever up here in this body part. This is super helpful, these little beginner sheets right before you code, because it's kind of hard when you're in here and you're looking at the CPT code. Remember, go back to your red body part, right? You can also see it here on this page. So these pages are kind of helpful. The other reason these pages are helpful is if there is a guideline, like what I was highlighting of what is included in a certain procedure, and you need to know that guideline before you start coding that set, there will be a tiny little star here listed next to the code numbers. So we can look here and there's no stars. No stars. There's a star right there. Underneath this body part, next to these codes that start out 54690, we can go to that number 54690 and find that guideline that they're talking about, 54690. The guideline that they're talking about is this scope and what they've said about it. And they're just saying that this scope, whether it's surgical or diagnostic, also includes this scope included. So even though it says laparoscope in this body part, it also includes the periscope included in it. So there'll probably be an exam question where they're doing this type of scope, but they also include a periscope, and they'll try to see if they can get you to code that separately or with it, 2 numbers instead of just 1. So this is super handy dandy to also let you know when there's guidelines attached to a certain set of codes, is when you see the little star. But also it gives you a bigger, broader overview of your red headers, because certain codes are only for certain body parts, and then different surgeries are only related to certain codes. Like if you have an answer A here, answer B here, answer C here, and an answer D here, this is great because they're under surgery headers. You don't even need to look at the CPT code or the descriptor. All you needed to know was, did I do an incision today? Did I go in and destroy something today? Did I go in and remove something today? Or did I go in and add in something and leave it in the body? you can check your exam question just from that and know what your answer is. So these little sheets are really handy dandy. Really knowing how to use these books is very helpful for the CPC exam, and that's what I teach in my CPC course. We have one starting up in August. I teach you the course from the certification exam point of view, not that broad medical coding PowerPoint presentation with no involvement point of view, for sure. Anyway, those are my helpful tips. I love that part of showing people how to do it and give them actual skills so that no matter what question you end up with, it doesn't matter because you know how to find the answer. You could be hit with anything and you can find the answer if I've taught you well enough in the course, right? We go to the 526 area. (52601) is under what header? We're under the body part, neck and prostate, and we're doing trans through something, right? If we're doing the 40 or the 30, those are also trans. They're all resections. One of them, 30, is a regrowth, meaning whatever this is, it's stubborn and won't leave, right? Same thing with 40, it's under the regrowth area. So we'll check out our exam question to see if this initial time we saw this situation or if this is a regrowth. Doesn't say anything about being a regrowth. Just says that they're going to be doing that resection, right? If there had been any history of regrowth or seen the patient before, then we would be under these two codes. Since it's not, it's going to be one of these, and we just need to know if we need to add that modifier to it. 50 is our bilateral procedure. How many prostates does a human have, right? We might have done something on the right or left when we resected it, and they're probably gonna try to make you think that there's a bilateral situation going on here, but don't let them confuse you on that. What did we go in today and do? And then how many of that body part would we have? If we're going to add bilateral to anything, it's going to be on something we have two of, right? 2 arms, 2 legs, kidneys, what have you. Prostates, in general, men only have 1, right? So, yeah. D is correct. Good job. All right, what about this one? Would we need all those multiple codes? Would we need our 26 modifier? Karma Girl, Camaro Girl, she has a subscription to the TikTok. Aw, that's so sweet. Rena, thank you for the heart me. You're welcome, Shaft. Thanks, Go-Kart. Twinkle and Go-Kart are both in my CPC course right now. You're sitting for your exam at 9 a.m. in the morning. Oh no, and you're unsure if you're going to pass. Love, just look at your headers before you do anything. So when you're clearing answers, when you're looking for differences between one code or one answer and another one, clear your body part first. Make sure the code that they gave you for an available answer is under the right body part. And then make sure it's under the right surgery type. Did you do a scope? Did you do an excision? Are you opening up the body? Are you doing a repair? Those kind of things. Figure out if you're under the correct surgery and body part. And that will help you pass the certification exam. Let me shut my door. Oh, kids getting a little loud. Some of the things that you might see tomorrow are pregnancy with COVID. How would you bill that? If you saw that, if your patient is not seeing their OBGYN, if they're only seeing their ER doctor or somebody else for COVID, then you'll see in the answer a Z33 in the answer. If they're seeing their OBGYN and they also have COVID, you won't see the Z33. So that's super helpful to know. Be sure you know the differences between your dialysis, like what's peritoneal dialysis. Lab with freezing stages like CPT codes 8833.2 and 33.1. Trigger finger injections, which one is not correct about the sinus cavities. Be sure you know what the P1 modifier is in anesthesia. Which one is not true about separate procedures. So, you know, a lot of our CPT codes have that word in the parentheses that says separate procedure. What does that mean? What's the definition of that? What are we dealing with when that happens? Category 2 codes, Medicare Part D, CKD 3A, lumen and lunate, chemo divination, arms and legs. It's how many muscles you're dealing with, not how many injections, that kind of stuff. For this question, what do you guys think is the answer for this one? I gotta turn on the fan because James is getting loud with that music. And I've been having YouTube not play my videos because they hear outside music on. All right. First thing you got to figure out is, are you a 51728 or a 26? 517. 5.26 or a 2.8. Did we do the voiding pressure studies? And we see that we did do the voiding pressure studies. Great. So you know you're a C or a D, no matter what. Would we add the 26 modifier? Who are we billing for? We're billing for the service, right? We're not billing for the physician to read a report. So you know you're not going to add the 26 modifier. We're billing for the service to be done, which is included in just answer C, right? Only when it says something about the physician doesn't work there at the hospital, or they're asking you to bill for the physician, then you might add the 26. But if they're just billing for the service, then bill the CPT code. Easy peasy. This one is a case. We ain't gonna stress about it. We're gonna scooch you on down here to the different answers. We're gonna look at our different codes, right? Our first one in numerical sequence is the 47. So 52647. $48 and 49, they're all lasers. Each of these lasers do a different thing. One laser stops bleeding. One laser destroys stuff, and one laser does enuclearization, right? So what was the purpose of our laser? Our laser did that. You can also see it probably up the top, laser ablation. Yeah, same thing. If we're zapping it to do that, which one did we do? Vaporization is our 48. We have two answers with 48. One of them with 2204 and one of them with 2224. What's our differences? And what kind of code is the 2204? If the 2204 is an add-on code, it does not require or need a modifier. If it is a separate parent code, then it may include and need a 59 modifier. What kind of code is 2204? Let's go look. 52204 is its own mama code. What kind of code is 2224? That is also another mama code. One of them includes electricity laser. The other one includes a biopsy. What did we do? Did do some biopsies. Aw. Thanks, AIM. Be careful. Driving out in that traffic can be crazy. I got surprised. Totally confused. Aw, Williams. I wish I found you a year and a half ago. Me too. You paid for AMCI and gave up because it was so confusing. Aw. $6,500. Oh my God. I only charge what AAPC charges me. They charge me $2,600 per student to sign them up for Blackboard, get them their books, and all that lovely stuff. So I just send them the money. And then you get access to my notes. We do live lessons every week, and we do practice exam questions, and then you get access to all my workshops for a year. We do have those minor lesions. Where are we at? We did biopsies. What are also included? Frugate biopsies to diminish bleeding. We did the cystoscope, the laser. Then they had some calcifications on the prostate that were adequate to ablate it. So they are, since we did use the bug bee to electrify the biopsy spots to diminish and stop the bleeding right away. They weren't simple, just plain biopsies like in the 204. We did use the electricity, so we know D is going to be our answer. Alright, our next case, we're just going to skip it and come on down here to our differences in our CPT codes. Look up those headers and differences and only look through the example for those differences. That's all. If I look at the 52000, where are we at? We're under what body part? Where are we at? What body part? Bladder. We're under bladder. If our answer is D, right? If it's B, 52281, what body part are we under? Still the bladder. Good. What about 536s? Where are those? 536s, 20 and 05 are under a different body part. I could tell that when I went through. We're under prostate and neck and urethra. No, there we go. We're under urethra. So B and C are under urethra, sorry. And then A and D are under bladder. What did we do today? And to what? We're going to go up here. What is that on? What does the prefix or the root word that mean? A lot of procedures do need to go through the urethra to get there, but you know, doesn't mean we did any repair there. If you still have access to your CPC course and you want help finishing it, I do have the part where you can just pay for my help separate, you know, just have me teach you for the next year and get you through the course. In-course help where I go through and do all the practical applications with you and your chapter exams with you. We do those in class. I show you, how to look up codes without multiple choice answers. How do you code this chapter? What's important for your certification exam? And can help you finish your course so you don't lose your whole year of apprenticeship removal. You can get that from me separate if you do want to add me down and switch me over as your instructor. You can just pay for the difference just to have me as their instructor. Just email me at medicalcodingbyjen@gmail.com if you want that option, and I can see if I can't get AAPC to switch your instructor to me. And that way I can access and see your grades and see what I can do to help you out. So are we in the bladder or are we doing a urethra repair? What are we doing with this? Would we be an A and D or a B and C? Just if you put these available answers into two different buckets because of the two different body parts, where would we be? Hey Samantha, no worries. This one's got everybody stumped because I still do not see a correct answer. So, if we look at our differences at our 5-2 areas versus our 5-3-6 areas, these are two separate mama codes. Just knowing that the 5-2-2-2 okay, let me show you this. This will help during your CPC exam for those that are taking this exam tomorrow. This code is a mama code. It's not indented. It's a code, and it says separate procedure. Right? That means that everything on these pages that is dealing with anything related to these types of surgeries has that surgery included. Remember your definition of separate procedure. That is at the beginning of your surgery section, I think. Your definition of separate procedure. This goes for everything underneath surgery guidelines. The whole thing from integumentary all the way back through medicine section. If you're doing a surgery on somebody and it's a separate procedure, this guideline goes with that. That code 52000 is a separate procedure. If we look at the 53605 that you guys are combining it with and adding it to another procedure without a modifier, where is that sucker at? 53605. That's another a parent code, right? It's not indented. It doesn't have an add-on code. It's a full-on another procedure. This surgery is manipulating stuff. This surgery is a scope. So you're saying that we did two separate procedures on separate body parts. This one's urethra, this one's urethra, the other one's a bladder. And we're going to send that to the insurance company and we're going to expect them to pay it. And we did two separate procedures on a patient without a modifier. Two CPT codes that are both parents. If you're going to do two parents and build two parent codes, you better have a modifier to go along with it, to tell them it's an additional procedure like 51, or 59 to say it's a separate procedure that is totally unrelated, like a car accident. If I go in and do a liver laceration, but then I also do a fractured leg, I'm going to have 59. If I'm going to have a 51 modifier, then I have two separate procedures that I did on this one patient today, but they are related to the bladder and urinary system area. But if D is your answer, then you have no modifiers telling them that these two parent codes were really done and what the story is behind it. No matter what, during this exam, if you have two parent codes and you understand your definitions of a parent code built together without a modifier, then that's a wrong answer all day long on the exam. Like our previous questions where that 59 was allowed, because we're doing two different surgeries, two different body parts, right? One's on a bladder and one's somewhere else. The prostate, two different body parts, and we really did do both of them, but they were different body parts. One on a bladder, one on the prostate. We had to have them built. We added a modifier. This one right here. What was the answer? It was C. We only added a modifier for 3 procedures. This 51797. What kind of code is that? 517? 51797. Look at that sucker. You know why it didn't need a modifier? It's because it's got that plus symbol in front of it. Anything that has a plus symbol in it can be billed with another code without any modifiers, because you do not add modifiers to anything with the plus symbol in front of it. That is what you call an add-on code, which they explain in the instructions for how to use the book. If you have not read that area, I'm going to yell about it again. That is super helpful to have read. The instructions for how to use this book. They tell you about why they're indented, why they're not indented, how you can not code do code them together, when to use modifiers, all that stuff. But there's your definition of the add-on codes, right? Add-on codes have the plus symbol in front of them, and they do not get modifiers because they're made to go on as a secondary code for these types of procedures. They're meant to piggyback an add-on. But the other code, the third code for this other example that we do have, is doing the same body part, and it's related to the first procedure, right? We're using the same equipment to do this procedure as we did this procedure. Since we still used whatever scope or whatever we used for this procedure, we used those instruments to also do this one. That's why it got the 51 modifier, because it's in addition. By the way, while we were already in there doing this procedure with those instruments, we had to go in and do this procedure also with those same instruments, because this will cut down the payment amount on those two procedures being billed together instead of separately, right? Unlike this one where the answer was a 5-9, we set down those instruments, put them away, grabbed another set of instruments because it was a totally different body part. To get to the prostate is totally different than having to get to the bladder. Anyway, here we have two parent codes without a modifier. Never going to be an answer. Nope, 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 nope. So now that we know that, Twinkle's in there. Yes, I am an approved AAPC instructor, and I am licensed. Twinkle was answering some questions in chat, so just to show you my little logos, I am a licensed educator, and I am approved instructor. Yes. I used to be just some lady on the internet trying to help, but here we go. Back to this question. If D is not our answer, what do you guys think the answer is? Is there a cheat sheet for you to better understand? Guess I could make one. I took a self-study course and I'm struggling to understand how to pick out the code. Do you mean in the multiple choice answers or to code without multiple choice answers? So what was our procedure on? Some of our answers are just bladder, and some of them are urethra. Cystoscope, catheter wire, removed the catheter, urethra without difficulty, introduced the cystoscope, ablazed the structure. If we put a catheter in somebody's urethra and then we reintroduce this, where are we now? What body part? If we dilated the urethra, went back through it with this, What are we doing? What body part are we working on? Bladder is correct, guys. So, right here in your anatomy, what is a urinary bladder? What's your names for it? CYSTO / VESICO. That means you're in the bladder. It's made for storage. Writing down your AKA terms for everything that's labeled and then saying what it does, what's its function, processes urine, transports urine, that kind of stuff is super helpful. So if we're in the bladder and we ablaze the structure, then we're electrifying it all up and creating scar tissue, thickening it up. It creates collagen, it makes it stronger, which is weird, but we're ablating the whole inside of it and making it so that no other cyst or anything else can come along and attach itself to the lining, because now the lining of the bladder is all ablated with scar tissue, right? So that's what we did. We might have gone in and done stuff to the urethra just to get in there, but the whole point of the procedure was to ablate the entire bladder and create scar tissue inside there. So we are not a B or a C. The only ones that we could be is A or half of D, which is bladder. We just definitely couldn't be D because those two are two parent codes. So what's going on in 522.81? And you're also going to have this cysto-urethroskop thingy right there. Don't forget, in the very beginning, you're going to have some guidelines. It's going to tell you exactly what's already included in all of them. An endoscope, a cystoscope, urethroscope, and cysto-urethroskop. What do they all have inside of them, right? Identify without having to list any or all minor related functions performed at the same time, like a mediectomy, a calibration, a dilation, uroscope, cystoscope, transurethral resections, all kinds of stuff that they're going to be talking about. that could be or included in some of this stuff, be sure you've read this. And if there ever is going to be any CPC exam question created out of anything on these pages, it's always the coding tip. So if a CPT page has a coding tip on it, that's usually where they get their exam questions from, is to see if you understand what they've said inside the coding tip. This one sounds like restrictions on reporting temporary catheter insertions and removals with a cystoscope. So it's got the 52005 with the 52356 code listed right there, and it tells you it is not reported separately. This is where they get their exam questions from. Why do they make coding so difficult? Because medical insurance is a monthly subscription, right? You pay into it monthly, or your employer does, whoever, somebody does. And they want to hold on to that money as long as they can and earn as much interest as they can. They don't want to pay it out. So let's create a maze of nightmare crap to make it as difficult as possible to get payment for anything. If you want the honest truth, but anyway. And now that your insurance company also now owns all the medical groups and the physicians' offices, including they own your health insurance plan, and now they're going to own your pharmacies, it's really not really worth it. You can pay cash and buy your own membership to a physician who does not take a health insurance and fare out a lot better than you could if you had insurance, technically, nowadays. Because none of us can get time off work anyway to even utilize any of it to begin with. You have to get permission to take off work, and then you can't, because doctor's offices only work during business hours, so I don't know. You can't even use it when you do have it. It's crazy. All right. And it would help a whole lot if you had the full descriptor of the CPT code. The CPT book is only published with the short descriptor of the CPT code. When CPT codes are invented and they are published in 3 different forms. They do come with a short descriptor, which you'll see in your CPT book. They come with a medium descriptor, and they do come with a long descriptor, or the full descriptor. And to see the full descriptor, you have to buy another set of books every year. There's not one book that has been published that has every CPT code with its full description in it. So, like if I was to do just this one CPT code, 44120, it comes with a clinical example, and then it's preoperative services. So what does it include in the preoperative visit, like EKGs, chest x-rays, lab work, or the preoperative office visit? What does that look like? This has a full description, right? And then the in-service. What does the surgery pay for? What does it do? Excising the skin, going through the subcutaneous tissue. It does all this, avoid injury of this, that, and the other thing. And then the preoperative or postoperative visit, what does it pay for? applying skin closure, sterile dressings, repeat in those, checking another chest x-ray, doing an NG tube, whatever else, writing orders for this, that, and the other thing, including referring physicians and discharging from the hospital, including all of this post-operative stuff. That one CPT code. You guys don't know what's included in each one of these CPT codes because you're only getting a short description. There are long descriptions, but you would have had to have bought as many years as CPT codes has been out, probably, I don't know, 50 years. You would have to have 50 books purchased to go along with it because they only published the full description the 1 year that it was created. So we are at a disadvantage with these short descriptors because we don't know what's going on in them unless you have purchased all those lovely books and have gone through them all and know what they are. You'd never be able to remember it all, yeah. But this is cool for the certification exam. They can't test you on stuff that isn't available. They can only test you on the instructions on how to use your CPT book. Do you know the differences between parent codes and when you combine them? Do you know how to add a code and a secondary procedure? What will the secondary procedure look like? Will it have the plus symbol in front of it? If it doesn't, and it is another parent code, do you know how to use the 51 modifier or the 59 modifier appropriately? Those are things that they're going to be testing you on, like this one, right? This one's a really difficult one because they got a lot of propaganda in here, and the only thing that you really did for today's procedure was this scope and the ablation, and you only needed to find the code for that, and that is just A. Yep. Very difficult question. Alright, what about this one? This one's got modifiers. 58 is our stage procedure. Our 78 is our complication, and our 76 is a repeat procedure. Did we do any of that today? Patient is here for lithotripsy. It was performed 3 weeks ago. So what does that mean? Yes, best of luck on your next exam. Check your headers before your CPT code descriptors. Best advice ever. Right there. Be careful, Jen. It says in the question, there is no global time for this procedure. What does that mean? If there's a 30, 60, or 90-day global period, then that means if you repeat this procedure, you have to add a modifier to it to say if this is the same physician, a separate physician, or a complication. But if there is no global period for this procedure, then if you do it, you do it. Code it. My advice on tomorrow's procedure was to check your headers before you look at the individual CPT codes and their description. if you have two answers here and two answers here, they're both under scopes. 505.41 versus 509.45. A and B, C and D. They're both under the surgery types of scopes. But their unique difference is one's under the body part kidney, one's under the body part ureter. Are you under the correct body part? If your procedure was not done on the ureter, you only went through the ureter to fix the kidney, then you know your answer is going to be up here in the 505.41. That is my 100 absolutely best advice. Practice your practice exam questions by not running to each individual code, because they're going to give you an excision here, right? And then they're going to give you another excision right here. One's an excision, another one's an excision. How are you going to know which excision is correct, right? It's because of the red headers. If you go back and look at your red header, which is kidney, and then the other one, this excision, is not under kidney. It's back one page under the body part ureter. Was your excision under a ureter or a kidney? That will answer your questions correctly. Because if you're a brand new coder and you don't know what you're doing, you're just going to run from CPT code and its description and CPT code and its description, and you're going to get them wrong. But if you know to look back at your surgery heading and your body part heading, you'll be able to clear those by looking at your exam question. Did I work on a kidney today, or did I work on a ureter? You can tell that even without much medical training. That last one with the bladder was really rough, but that makes more of a difference. Knowing the differences between the other types of surgeries, like an incision, an excision, a transplantation, or an introduction, is the next best advice. They're going to give you a lot of questions where answers A, B, C, and D are just under different surgery headers. You're under the same body part, but do you know the differences between cutting into somebody, removing something, moving something around, or adding something into the body? That's all the differences are. This question says there is no global days. Then that means you just bill it whenever you do it. Just because you repeated it 3 days ago, 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago means nothing. There's no global days with it. So you just bill it. D. Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Slyn. Slyn, however you say that. I hope this has been super helpful. These are some of my best advices for sure for the certification exam. If you want to take the certification course with me, it is starting up in August. If you've already bought a course and you want help going through it, email me at medicalcodingbyjen@gmail.com. Otherwise, I will see you guys on Friday. We'll do 2 more hours of practice questions on Friday, the same time, same places, Tiki Talk and the Tube of the U. So I hope to see you there. All my replays for the last 6 years are available on the Tube of the U. It's all under Medical Coding by Jen. Google me, you'll find me. All the replays are there, free for you guys. If you want copies of my notes and you want to work with me and prep your books for the certification exam like I do, the U of the Tube membership, which is $4 a month, you can watch me book prep code by code in all the chapters. It's not every single code in every single chapter, but I get you started. I just posted like 8 more hours of cardiovascular, so that you know not only what my notes mean, but what actually is going on in each type of surgery and what the anatomy terms mean. It's been really fun to do some more cardiovascular this month and talk to you about what's actually really going on inside these CPT codes, so you know exactly what the procedure is doing. But just knowing that these are all pulmonary and they all have the blue highlight because we're in the lungs, right? Pulmonary, blue, lungs. And just noting my differences are really, really helpful for sure. These are mitral valve and tricuspid. Then we've got pulmonary. Again, just marking your differences between procedures that are on the right or on the left part of the body. These above it are only being done on the right side of the body. So if you're also on the left side of the body, repairing that part of the heart too, then you need a combo code that's doing right and left, which is blue and green, not just blue. So stuff like that is really helpful. But those are available on that channel if you need it. If you need to just want to copy my notes, you can do that at the medicalcodingbyjen.com site. There's also book prep videos on my website under the resources tab, and pictures of my notes and free instructions on what to do, what the highlights are, what you're supposed to highlight, how to group them together, that kind of stuff. To get you started in every chapter is available on my website under the resources tab, completely free. Fixing all your out of code sequences and all that kind of stuff is all there. So hopefully that is helpful. I love you guys. I am going to go pick up Travis from cheer practice and get ready for Wednesday's class for our coding CPC course. I hope this is helpful, guys. You are very, very welcome. Good luck to everybody who's taken their exam this week. Let me give out some YouTube memberships if there's anybody still there. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Let's see. See if we're still got a few people there live. Let's see. Go there. I'm gonna go here. And yeah, let's give out some memberships. Let's give away 5. Let's go send them some money on the credit card and pick out 5 people to win free access to 30 days of my YouTube videos. You have to be on the YouTube live right now, but YouTube picks the winners. I don't have any control over that, but it looks like Ashley, Donovan, Amber, Cyber Girl, Ashley, Donovan, Amber, Brown Girl. Yay! We did. We get all 5 of them in there, and Go Card. Awesome. I hope those YouTube videos, access to all of the extra content is super helpful. When you're in my channel, you can go to the shorts and watch all the practice exam questions, which are really short and helpful. You can go to the live videos. Those are all the live lessons that I've done, and I've marked them, you know, like musculoskeletal practice questions, cardiovascular practice questions, female reproductive questions, that kind of stuff. You can go across the top to look at your playlist, and now you'll have access to all of the book prep videos, which there are a ton. We've got our ICD-10 guidelines also in the book prep videos, and the CPT book prep. I got 123 videos right there, so super cool. And then the ICD-10 book prep videos, those are great. You've got access to all of those. If you go to the post page, you'll get access to all my practice exam questions. Just click on what you think the answer is, and then it'll give you the answer and rationale. I've got a ton of practice questions. They're not videos, they're just practice questions. So super cool if you're there on that channel. So hopefully that is helpful to you guys. I will see you guys on Friday, if not sooner. Maybe we'll come in and do some more coloring of our color book. We've been coloring lately in our coloring book, which has been fun on Tiki Talk. So that's pretty cool. I love my coloring book because it's super small, but it is to the point. I have it for sale on my website at Medical Coding by Jen if you need it. I think it's in my TikTok showcase too, but I love it because it tells you the body part and then gives you 1 to 2, 3 sentences about what it does, and that's it. I don't need a 600-page book of anatomy, but the differences are really helpful in this anatomy book. So like knowing where the salivary glands are is really helpful, because one of the exam questions is the Warthin tumor that attaches to one of those. So that's really cool. The other ones that are helpful are the lining of arteries, but my favorite one that I know is usually on the exam is the different types of bones. As far as the long bones, short bones, the classifications of bones, this one I haven't done yet. We need to color it, but which ones are flat bones, which ones are irregular bones, which ones are sesamoid bones. That is one of the exam questions that's on the exam. So I love this little book. It's great. If you guys are wanting some out of my brain, just meditation area, but you're still learning and coloring, I love this one. So if you guys ever have or want a coloring book, that one's fun. Alright guys, I am going to get off here. I got to go get Travi. Love you guys. I hope this was helpful.